Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now November 30th, at 6:02. This is the continuation meeting from November 18, right? From November 18, 2021. We are going to go straight into,
We need roll call.
oh, I'm sorry. A1, call to order, Janet?
Trustees present this evening are Trustee Romero, Trustee Alvarado, Trustee Lorenzo Calderon Jr., and Trustee Ciro Calderon, with Trustee Magallanes absent. You
Thank
have a
you.
quorum.
Thank you. We're gonna do A2. Pledge of allegiance. Please stand up. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Janet, for reminding me. So from here, we're going to go where we left off, which is in N, action items.
L1.
L, this,
Discussion, possible action.
L, okay, discussion, possible action, okay, all of them, okay. L1, new construction building furniture, Calexico High School. Ms. Ramirez.
And this item was requested by Trustee Lorenzo Calderon Jr.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us again tonight. This is a continuation of the board meeting we had on 11/18. And the reason why I have brought this up is that there is an item, I guess, in the agenda for an award that is approximately, what, $6 million. We started with our new buildings. We actually bought furniture for our new buildings and so forth. And then I believe, if I'm correct, we actually provided 2 of our elementaries with also new furniture. And what we're here is the expenditure, and the expenditure on what we're spending on these items. First of all, I want to make it clear that I'm not opposed for our children to have, or our students to have new furniture and so forth. However, $6 million is a lot of money. Right now we have at stake, we have our unions that we have not settled with. And I know that it's important, and I know everybody says it's easier money, we have to pay it, but there is more areas that we can improve our school sites and so forth. Another thing that why I brought this up is that after reviewing the RFPs, there were some actually items that were not noted on what was presented to us on the agenda. For example, I know that the cost of this furniture was same or similar. The warranty, almost the same or similar. Some had lifetime warranty, but I asked you, who's going to be here 20 years from now to ensure that this warranty is honored and so forth? I was taken to Willie Moreno, and they said that furniture had lifetime warranty. And when I walked into the classroom, none of the desks, well, some of them matched, others didn't. So I asked myself, and I asked everybody here, if we had warranty, lifetime warranty, then all the desks should look the same. However, differences in desks and so forth, and it looked like somebody had changed the tops and so forth. Another thing that was not mentioned in the paperwork for our presentation, that there is companies that are willing to give us money in the amount of $200,000 for a potential savings for this district. Another item that was not mentioned was the labor processing processing or pricing that is UCOB levels, representing a 15% cost savings. But most important is that some of these bidders brought up a pilot program and offered it to us. They were willing to bring in their equipment or furniture, survey our stakeholders. And when I'm talking our stakeholders, I'm talking about our teachers, our students, and so forth. Survey them, and based on that survey, come up with the furniture that is most fitted for this environment or learning environment. But not only that, they would bring in the furniture, let the teachers and the students use the furniture, and then survey them again. Not only telling us how much these students learn in these furniture and so forth, but also telling us or making sure that we're selecting the right furniture for our entire district. I find it, I mean, here we have $6 million. This is a lifetime investment. And yet, we're here, we can't settle our contracts with some of our unions here. And don't get me wrong, and I'll stress it, I'm the first one to vote for anything that our kids need. But I don't think the kids need desks right now. What we need to do today is settle our differences and go out and continue our lives as we should and give our students the best education. And as I was going through this, I thought about it. And I know, I'm going to give you an analogy, and I know it doesn't compare to $6 million, but I'm sure that all of you here at one time in your lifetime have purchased a vehicle. So with that said, I mean, you just don't go to the dealership, give them $60,000, $70,000, well, depending on what car you're buying, and just drive off with a vehicle and say, hey, I'm gone. Thank you. Any reasonable person would do some research, correct? Some research, not only but compare. Compare items. How much money are we going to get? What are your bonuses that we're getting? What's your warranty? May I test drive this vehicle? And of course, look at the whole thing before you drive off. In this case, our schools were, or our teachers were just surveys given a brochure and say, pick from these 3 desks. I don't think that's right. I think Calexico deserves more. I think that we should deeper, and make sure that this life investment is the best for our school district. Because I won't be here 20 years from now. So with that said, I asked of my peers here, in 5 to 10 years, what car do you want to drive? I mean, we purchased hundreds and thousands of dollars during our COVID period. And I asked, where is all this furniture going to? To a resolution to get rid of it because we're bringing in new furniture. I think Calexico has more important things to settle. And right now, furniture is not the one. And I know they say easier money. Well, let's get smarter and try to kind of budget and do something with that money and be able to use some of the general fund for something else. But again, that's why I brought it. Maybe it's just my sixth instinct, but I don't think it's right. And that's why this item is back on the agenda. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon Jr. Board members, do you have any comments?
I do. This item was, the RFP was approved by the board, I believe in the September meeting. So why are we bringing it up again? It's already been approved by the board. Just because you don't like how the voting came out, you gotta live with it. We can't keep, this is the second time this issue has been brought up. We can't keep bringing it up just because we didn't get what we want. The RFP was already approved by the board, and it's already in place.
And you're absolutely right. This came before us on 9/9/21.
Exactly.
And what I'm telling you, there was items that could have been, or could have changed my way of thinking if they would have been noted on the information of that item, but they weren't. I mean, who's willing to give us money? Who's willing to come in, do surveys on something that we're paying $6 million?
If
And
I
that's
may-
why-
No, sorry. If I may share, the $6 million is to obtain furniture for all schools. We're talking our 12, 13 schools. You may mention we had already purchased furniture in the past. We did buy furniture, or it came with the 12 classroom and the 16 classroom modulars for Calexico High School. For the other schools, it was 3 elementary schools, and we were only able to afford furniture for 2 to 3 classrooms for those 3 sites. Personally, as a principal that worked at Kennedy Gardens, I can tell you that the entire school needs to have furniture replaced. We were working off of furnitures that were mismatched, pinching students because they're cracked. And I know this for a fact happens even at Calexico High School, because I walked the classrooms and the furniture. There's a high need for furniture for the classrooms that are in the regular class. So we weren't able to even touch a tip of what the needs are for the elementary schools. And you also mentioned ESSER funding. ESSER funding cannot be used for negotiations. And so ESSER fundings are one-time monies, and to tell you the truth, I don't think from my 30 years here at Calexico Unified School District, I could never have imagined the opportunity to be able to replace furniture for a lot of our schools. They are in dire need. And so this was a great opportunity for us to do that, to get the furniture that is required for our students. Perhaps the part that you mentioned that I agree that I was not aware of was a pilot program. But what we do know is that we do want them to be unified from one vendor. What we don't want is various vendors, and that's why there's a process for the RFP. In terms of Willie Moreno, I did make the walk with you, Mr. Calderon, and I did not say that they have warranty. Actually, what I mentioned was that I didn't even know if there was warranty or not, because at the time I was a teacher, and I know we tried at the district office to do some research, but you are correct, we couldn't find the paperwork, because it's been already, like 25 years ago? So we did try to find some of that information, but it was just not accessible. And regarding your other statements regarding the UCOP and 15% of the cost, that I'm not familiar with, so I would have to go back to provide more information. And so I don't know if I know that Maribel might have more information, Ms. Baez, regarding the RFP or additional questions. I know that our principals have worked hard to go through the list of desks. The desks that were selected, the input was provided by the sites, and in fact, after the fact, some of the sites said, well, hold on, can you give us more options like this type of a table? And we said, absolutely yes, if it's under the same company, we can. And so we did offer other options, but it's within the same company. So I think that our recommendation is that we stay with one vendor instead of going with multiple vendors, which in the past, that's what we did. We were going through different vendors, and there was a mismatch of furniture. We could only afford one classroom at a time. And so you can walk the classrooms and see that that's what's happening. But I don't know if you want Maribel Baez to provide more information regarding the process.
I think that I'm okay with that. However, I mean, in my experience, maybe we should look at the RFP process, because I was told, and this was told to me today, that only, and nothing against this staff member, because I'm pretty sure he or she is very hard worker and everything, but I don't think it should lie on one person. It should lie on several persons to make sure that we're getting our best for our money. Only one person was involved in this who actually did this. It's not even, it's just a graph a graph, and normally an RFP is actually scored based on what the district has asked for. They score it, and you make a determination based on what this company has to offer. And you talk about bringing it back, Richard, this, before Partner Hall has been before us, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times it has come to me because obviously they want that furniture. But when you look at the graph, I believe that there is, or these companies can offer more than Han. I mean, Han has their equipment or their furniture, but these companies also have a lot to offer.
You know, you keep bringing this, you're micromanaging.
I'm not
That's not
micromanaging.
our job.
Okay.
I mean, it appears it's one company. You keep favoring this one company.
Look.
You invited the company.
Yes.
Why?
Okay. Make it clear, I'm not micromanaging. I know that we already have an RFP. I understand that. But a $6 million one, that I think for me.
Using the ESSER funds.
All I can say, this fly is bothering me here. I think that we're in the midst of, like, for instance, the high school, new construction. I mean, a lot of things, we're gonna need new desks. We're gonna bring desks right now, and what's gonna happen when all these buildings, or this nice building gets built? Again, they'll be surveyed, and we'll come up with a resolution. I'm not gonna sit here and argue. It's my opinion, and all I can say is that maybe in the future, we can actually look at, step out of the box and see what our needs really are. Thank you. And that's all. Thank you, Ms. Ramirez, for your comments. And I'm okay with it.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon. So this is just discussion, okay. Any more questions or comments, board members? No? Okay. L2, monthly expense accounts for board members. Was it Ms. Magallanes and I, or?
Yes, that's your item.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I brought this back. Well, I didn't bring it back. I'm bringing this issue or this item because I know in the past, many years ago, board members used to have an account. Somebody told me that board members had an account. Now, I don't know the legalities about board members having an account, but I think, to make the discussion short, I think we do have meetings that we attend representing the district. I know I do. And I would like to know if the board will be okay, not using the credit cards, because we know where that went, but the submitting for reimbursement. I don't know if that's even legal, Amy.
The law and your board bylaws, I believe, already provide for reimbursement for necessary and incurred expenses. Some districts, and there are some guidelines in the law about how much that can be, do have, for the attendance at meetings, essentially. Oh, am I not? Okay. Some boards do have in their board bylaws amounts that board members are provided for each meeting they attend. It tends to be fairly nominal, but I don't know if that's what you're referring to. I don't know about an expense account or calling it that, but there is some boards that have, most boards have compensation for each member for attending meetings.
I wasn't thinking about an expense account because, no, I wasn't thinking about that, but I was thinking that if we have official meetings that we attend, that if we could actually get reimbursed for those expenses.
And it might be in your bylaws.
Okay.
We might need to look through if you already have an amount specified in
Okay.
your bylaws for attendance, actual attendance at meetings.
So we currently have what we call position control form or process, which is kind of what you received for the CSBA, where you provide the date of the either conference, training, or meeting that you're attending. And then depending on the times, we do have set amounts for the breakfast, lunch, or dinner that's going to be required. And then it differs from county to county. So that process it's in place, and so that we could continue to follow that process, and I believe that's what you're talking about, Amy.
And I actually just found it, it happens to be in one of the bylaws that I had printed. Board bylaw 9250, first sentence, remuneration, sorry, I always say that word poorly. Each member of the Board of Education may receive a monthly compensation of no more than $240.
Okay,
So that's something that's already in your bylaw. I don't know if it's actually being followed.
okay. Well,
I mean, if a
guess-
member goes to a conference, okay, that's, you should get per diem or be reimbursed for that. But a member should not be reimbursed for entertaining people. That's not correct. You get your stipend, a monthly stipend. If you want to entertain somebody, use it for that.
So who's talking about entertaining people?
No, I'm just saying, I'm not sure what is it that you're
No,
looking
I'm not
at.
talking about entertaining people.
But-
I'm talking about, for example, when I took those parents from Dewey Elementary to get recognized for their month's efforts to get certified in those, in whatever training they were doing. I'm not taking people to eat just because, I didn't take people to eat just because I felt like it. Okay, so I want to make that straight, because it seems like this is like the second or third time that you have brought this up. I just want to make that clear. I didn't take anybody to eat or drinking or anything like that, okay?
If you want to recognize some parents for a job well done, do it, you get your monthly stipend, use that. Don't use the funds that we could use for students.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just said this,
But that's my opinion.
yeah, well, yes, you have your opinion and I have mine.
Yeah.
So, board, any other questions or concerns?
I'm good with it.
Thank you.
I do want to share that we do have a process, an internal process for meetings that we hold for parents, or trainings that we hold. And in that process, what we have is we have to provide an agenda of what's going to be discussed, a time where it's going to happen, and then after that, we're able to provide incentives or meals to our parents, similar to what we do in LCAP or other trainings. And then if we follow that process, then that's when funding can be used for those types of services.
Yeah, so that's what, yeah, so maybe that's what, what I did kind of fell into that.
Yeah, so
Okay, maybe
we just
we'll-
need to follow the internal process.
Okay, all right. No, I wasn't talking about paying more of, getting an extra stipend, no, I wasn't talking about that, but I was talking exactly what you were saying, so. Okay, that was L2. L3, update on proposed memo of understanding for school resource officer for services and other school safety measures. Elisa?
So for that one, the superintendent did share some of his notes. So an original meeting was held back on November 11, I believe, and at that point, both entities stated that they would not be able to work due to current jurisdictional situations. And the two things that they mentioned during that meeting was conflict of primary jurisdiction and the off-campus nexus that would be created. So then after that, I believe Trustee Calderon reached out to Sheriff Loera on 11/14? Yeah, to try and schedule another meeting, and it was tentatively scheduled for November 19. However, Sheriff Loera sent us an email saying that he wasn't available for that date and that he would be contacting us, the district, to schedule another date when he was available. And so we haven't heard from him. I know that the Thanksgiving break just happened, but that was the last that we heard from Sheriff Loera.
So I know this is a very important and pressing issue that we have in our district, so if we could reach out to him again, and like I said, when I met with him, he had good points. However, it's not just something between two people. I think it needs to be a team discussion. So if you guys can reach out to him and see where we can set up another meeting regarding this.
Will do.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I know we reached out to Calexico PD, and they said they didn't have enough people.
Yeah.
Is that what they said?
Well, the PD, go, Elisa.
Correct. For us to get a regular SRO, they do not have the staffing.
Yeah.
Okay. and
They're
since-
short-staffed.
And so they have, since there's a jurisdictional issue between the sheriff and now, we need somebody somebody there. Have we considered, is it feasible to get somebody from the security company to be there?
We have not looked into that option. I will share that with our superintendent as an option. I'm not familiar. From the districts that I've visited and I've seen in my experience, I've never seen a security company. The only security company that we normally have are the outside.
Yeah,
If I'm
because we
correct,
definitely
Richard,
need somebody.
I think Brawley has a security
Really?
company.
Yeah.
And that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We need somebody.
And real quick, I want to add something also as well, because it says other school safety measures, and some of the other measures that we already have in place currently is a community day school. Why is that not being utilized currently? I know we've had a lot of issues going on currently there at the high school, especially with fights. That's one of those things, I think, as a board, we have to do something in order to try to, minimize, not minimize it, but try to like just stop it once and for all, because what's it gonna take for one of the students to get hurt, and then we're gonna utilize it? Because I know the community day school is there. I understand that our community day school teacher is, he's teaching something else, correct, currently?
Community day school teachers doing independent studies. Right now, we don't have a community day school because we don't have the student population. Community day school, you cannot just send any student. The only students that can be sent to community day school are those that go through the expulsion process. So if students are fighting, just because students fight, that doesn't merit expulsion. So there's ed codes that we have to follow. And so because we didn't have enrollment at the time, there was a higher need for independent studies. That's why our teachers now doing independent studies. It doesn't mean that we won't open community day school eventually, but right now, we don't have the enrollment for it.
All right, with that said, what's going on with the students that are currently involved in these fights that happened? Where are they at? Are they still at the high school? Have they received some type of,
Yes.
expulsion or possible expulsion, anything at all?
No, students, when
we
there's
should be sure to
fights.
not talk about any particular students, but
No,
you can talk
no.
about general process.
So
Correct.
any student that fights, there is progressive discipline, so they do get suspended. They do get community hours. They can get Saturday school as other options, but there also is interventions that are, other consequences, for example, that I know Ms. Williams discussed with us is suspension of use of telephone, for example, suspension of use of being able to use backpacks for a period of time. So there are different types of consequences depending on the situation. And then there's also interventions. So we have programs such as Sweet 360 that we offer. Sometimes we ask students to participate in certain clubs or activities so that we get them more involved. They also have counseling sessions, or they are given support through behavioral health or licensed clinical social workers. So there's different activities, but every student does get a consequence.
I'd like
And
to
with that said, hold on, can I just finish real quick? Is there something, Amy, that we could do as a board to come up with some type of board bylaw to put in place as far as that goes, with not allowing any type of violence at all at any of the school sites, or anything? I mean, there has to be something that we could do.
Well,
because-
student discipline falls under ed code, so there's already requirements that you have to utilize other means of correction. School districts can get pretty creative with that, but that is a requisite showing in an expulsion process before you jump to that level.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't just come down to just the students that are fighting, it's safety at all, safety for our teachers, safety for staff, safety for other students. If they don't feel safe at the school, we're gonna have students that are unproductive. They're not gonna wanna go to school to learn.
So when
And
we
that's one
went
of those
to
things that I
school-
wanna ensure that we do provide a safe environment for our students, not only our students, but our teachers and our staff. And that's one of those things that I wanna, ensure that we're doing. With that said, I would like to visit, this back later on. I don't wanna take no more time on it, but, in regards to our community day school, because I do feel that we need to utilize this community day school. And that's one of those things that I think is gonna curb what's going on currently, there at the high school. I haven't heard of anything recently, because we just got back from our week, that we've been off, but, that's something that I really wanna visit. That's something I think that we should come back and look into.
I just want to point out that many of us, when we were going to school, back in the days, we had zero tolerance, and that's how we grew up. You know, there was no tolerance, and everybody was automatically suspended or automatically sent through expulsion. That no longer exists. That was completely taken away. There are now more protective rights for students. It's got to be progressive discipline. We have to provide other means of correction. Sometimes it's even really difficult to even put a student through expulsion if you can't prove that you tried other means of correction. And so those are the ed codes that Amy is referring to. So we do try to document incidents, even the consequences, and more than anything, the interventions that were provided, so that if a student does it a second time, a third time, that's when it starts leading to building a case to sending a student through expulsion, and that's when you can refer them to community day school.
I'd like just to make a comment on your comment, Mr. Alvarado. These students are causing havoc, or whatever you want to call it, in the classroom. They're being sent to the attendance office. And there, staff are juggling attendance, and, whatever their job duties are of the day, and sometimes they have up to 7, 8 kids there. You're right. I believe that we're not asking them to suspend them, but at least to separate them while they get through their day. They continue to learn or go through their curriculum. They're still at the high school, but they're separated from the other students that do want to learn.
And we do have a student intervention and support class. We did have a conversation with Calexico High School because they do have that class, but for whatever reason, some of those periods were being used for something different. So that
Wow.
I know we addressed with Ms. Williams, so that support and intervention class is open full-time. And there were currently also, I think we're flying the position for a 9th grade campus. Same classroom. In the past, it was known as ISS, and now we have, it converted to SIS, and now we provide intervention during those times.
Yeah. And again, I go back, time and time I get calls from staff members about this problem. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth, there is no consequences for our students. So in a nutshell, I think Mr. Alvarado is right. We should have a class that we separate them from the general students and send them on their way home at 3 o'clock. I mean, it's a great idea. I support that. We have one of our teachers teaching cyber tech or cyber high when he should be doing this type of job. So maybe getting someone for cyber high and then putting that teacher back in that classroom to at least give some of our teachers an opportunity to be able to teach some of the kids that do want to learn.
I know
and
through ESSERS, sorry to cut you off, Mr. Calderon.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I don't get my feelings hurt. Go ahead, I'm done.
I know through ESSERS, we can hire some staff to maybe remedy some of these issues that Mr. Alvarado and Mr. Calderon Jr. are talking about. So maybe we need to revise that idea, Ms. Ramirez, and talk about that, and maybe come up with a plan for the next board meeting to maybe bring a plan back. Although I'm a firm believer of giving the students the opportunity, giving the students all the opportunities that they deserve, I also believe that it is the responsibility of us to make sure that all students have the same opportunities to go to school in a safe manner. So maybe we need to revise this on the next board meeting.
Yeah, we currently have them funded out of the LCAP.
Okay,
So those are the 2 positions that we have, one for each of the high school campuses.
okay.
But we can look into if there's a need for a second class. So I'll meet with Ms. Williams to review this.
Perfect. Any more comments or questions, board members? No? Okay, that was L3. L4, the school furniture pilot program. That was you, Mr. Calderon? Okay,
It's the same?
okay. L5, district audit reports. This item was brought up by me. And I know that every couple years we have to do audits. However, I've been thinking about this for a long time because I see other districts being able to fulfill their commitments to their employees when it comes to salaries and benefits. For example, Brawley Elementary, even with the top combined compensation is more than $145,000, and for Calexico Unified, for the Calexico Unified Teachers Association (ACT), combined the combined salaries and benefits, they don't go even past 130. So my question is, how is it that Brawley can actually offer almost $20,000 more in total compensation, and not us? So maybe that's a question that we can go back to at a later date. But at this point, because of that, I would like the board to support me in asking for an outside agency, an outside company to come and do a forensic audit to see what our money, what is it that we're doing with our monies. So we have to do it anyways, so why not get this done now? So
On an annual basis, you get your audit, you get your financial audits. and
Yeah, this is
team
audits are on a
that
yearly
comes in.
basis, but I want to see if Maribel can provide more information. Aside from the yearly audits, we also have internal audits, and then we have the federal program monitoring audits, so.
Yes, correct. So Wilkinson, Hadley, there are outside consultants, and they come every year. They come around spring to do a pre-audit of everything. They review all of our revenues, all of our expenditures, salaries, payroll, time attendance, assets, equipment, everything. And they don't finish until we close the books. Then they come back and just look at all of our year-end entries, everything, all of the one-time funds. They're being very, very particular in making sure that all those funds are spent appropriately. We are still in the middle of our 2021 audit. We still don't have the final report. The final report is probably going to be presented until next month, in January. There are some delays because we're waiting for CDE to release a checklist. It's like a new audit checklist because of all the one-time funds. There's a lot of new requirements with the one-time funds. So the checklist is not ready by the CDE level, state level. So we're waiting for that to finalize our audit. But in addition to that audit, that's our annual audit, and this is where ICOE gets involved, and they also audit all of our payroll revenues and all of our expenditures. We also have our federal review. We're being through the FPM, and it has been such a process this year. It's been crazy with all the things they're asking with all the one-time funds, just the items they're requesting. And even though they say, for example, the one-time funds were very open and you have a lot of flexibility spending, there are just on everything, they are almost reviewing every expenditure made with one-time funds. So we are right now, we're in the middle still of FPM.
To elaborate on the federal program monitoring, Calexico, because of the amount of federal funds it receives and past findings, it's pretty much reviewed every 2 years, and there's a selection of the different federal programs. So currently this year, and the review ends on Thursday, we're being reviewed for federal stimulus funding, we're expanded learning, Title I, Title II, Title III, fiscal monitoring, and UCP's complaints. So with the federal program monitoring, with the federal monitoring itself, all of the federal programs, so even though they're not being reviewed right now, there's still, all of the books for the district are open. So even things like migrant is being reviewed. You know, the one-time funding, they are being very strict and making sure that all the expenditures are as allowable, and also that we're following our internal procedures that are in place. And so, like Ms. Baez just said, it is being very, very difficult. We just finished our previous federal program monitoring in May of 2020, so it's been less than 2 years, and we're being reviewed again. So our district is constantly monitoring for independent audits, but it's also being reviewed for the expenditure compliance and accountability of our federal programs and expenditures.
Well, I'm not really concerned, thank you for that, and I'm not really concerned with special programs and services, Title I, Title V, Title IX, like you mentioned, because on those, I know you guys you have very strict rules. I understand that, so I do. And she has to keep a tap on every little cent that is spent out of those federal and state monies. I understand that. However, I want to know where we spend our general fund. That's what I want to know. And Amy, do we have the right to ask for an independent audit as a board?
Well, as Maribel mentioned, I guess to confirm, in your board policies in the 3000 series somewhere, and by law, you have to have your, I think it's the whole general fund, and you could speak more
Yes,
clearly
exactly.
to it because you're a CBO, but there are certain requirements in terms of the accounting firm's qualifications. They have to be CPAs with government accounting experience, et cetera, and sometimes those can be rather detailed. And I don't know if some of those might qualify as a forensic audit, or if those have been reviewed and would meet the, what the board is seeking, if it's naturally going to occur anyway, or if there's anything extra that could be done in that process that might be more transparent for the board members.
Well, I want it to be more transparent for us, the board, and I want to bring an outside company that doesn't have, that has not come to Calexico before. That's what I'm asking. So I just want to know where the money is spent. Because, again, the math doesn't add up, honestly, it doesn't. So I want to know where we're spending the extra money. I'm not claiming anything else. The only thing that I want to see is where are we spending that extra money from the general fund. So I don't know, but this is possible, this is a discussion, possible action, so I don't know what we'll have the support from the board to keep talking about bringing an outside agency to do an audit.
You know, we do bring an outside independent agency that signs off on it.
I don't want anybody that has
And-
come here before. I don't want anybody that has
Why?
come because I don't, and I think that's my right.
When this company doing the audit, they already have a contract, right?
Yes, I believe it's a 2-year contract, and what the county does, they're actually oversee the audit firm that all the
Right.
districts are involved with, so the process goes through them, so it's more them that, they help us pick up our auditors, but we can see, I believe the renewal is until 1 more year, but then we can add for a new firm. We can add for an RFP for a new, and get a new firm.
Well, you
We
asked
can-
the
we can look
RFP
into that.
based on the qualifications and the price.
Exactly.
This is standard procedure.
Well, there's nothing
I mean,
standard.
just because you don't understand it,
Well-
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I totally get it, where you're coming from as far as that goes, and that's one of those things also as well. It's not that it's not understandable, it's just certain questions that he might have that needs a little bit better clarification. And I think this is something that we're gonna have to be discussing here pretty soon, in closed session as far as that goes, because that's something that
You're
I
right.
think, we're gonna have to do it. That's the reason why I haven't said anything, but that's something I think that we have to discuss, in closed session as far as that
So
goes.
our auditors will be coming to present the report, I believe in January, when we have it ready. And they do this every year. They're being presenting, and that way, all the questions that you guys have can be answered. And
No,
that's where we're gonna review all the findings and if there's any findings, because I'm not aware of any preliminary findings yet.
Thank you,
We're
Maribel.
still in the process of finalizing the report.
No, you're right, Mr. Alvarado. This is something that's gonna come up in closed session, so, okay. So we're gonna, thank you, Maribel.
L6.
Yes, L6. COVID-19 testing requirements for vaccinated employees. So I talked to Amy about this because I know there's other districts have been coming up with very strict testing requirements. So for example, Coachella just came up with their own testing requirements for all teachers and staff by the middle of this month. So, and I mean, that's something new. I know Calexico doesn't have that as of yet, but Amy, do you have any updates on where we stand legally from the state?
The state requirement is still the same, that all employees either need to be vaccinated or be tested weekly for COVID-19. I guess did you say Coachella is testing all employees, vaccinated and unvaccinated?
All teachers, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but nothing, so I know we're following the mandates from the state, so there hasn't been any changes as of yet?
No, there's
No.
been no changes in the state mandates.
Okay. Thank you. L7, possible board policy 9005.1, censure procedure. Amy? Or,
Yeah, there was a request to bring a proposed board bylaw. I got direction from the board a couple meetings ago to prepare a proposed censure policy in the board bylaws, and so that was attached to your agenda today, or on the 19th, and again today.
so do we need like 1 or 2 readings or something like that, or can we just approve it?
No, there's nothing in the law that says you need to necessarily have two readings of a policy. I think the board could review, and if it wanted to give direction about changes that it would want, or revisions it would want to make, then it could come back to a future meeting with those revisions. If the policy is acceptable as is, you could motion, second, and vote.
Boom, it is up to the board.
Well, I went over it, I don't have no issues with it. I don't know if anybody else, but I was gonna make a motion to
Richard?
approve it. I'll
I
second
have
it.
no problem with it.
No.
Second.
So there's a motion by Mr. Alvarado, there's a second by Mr. Calderon Jr. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. L8, review of board policy 9323, meeting conduct. Who,
I motion to approve.
well, this is just a review. There's no action.
Yeah, I think there was a request to put this on there. This is the policy that contains the ending time for meetings.
Oh, that's right,
10:30. Also contains the parameters on public comment, et cetera. So
Okay.
it has a lot of the time limit.
So the time limit as it is right now, it is 10 with with a provision to extend it for 30 more minutes. Why will the board consider extending the time, the official end time, and, I don't know, 11, 12? What is the board?
I would prefer that I have no end time.
No, I would leave it as is at 10:30. The reason why, and that's something that I think I mentioned last time, is that we do have our employees here that have to break down everything and assemble everything, put everything. By the time, if we finish at 11, 12 o'clock, by the time they're done, it's gonna be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. They have to show up to work the next day, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's only 6 hours in there. By the time they get home, whatever, I mean, you gotta give them at least 8 hours to rest and stuff like that. So I feel comfortable just leaving at 10:30 as far as that goes. The thing about it is when we do these agenda reviews, I think we're gonna have to be a little bit more thorough as far as that goes, and limiting the number of stuff that's currently on the agendas. And that's why I believe at our next meeting in December, we're gonna approve for 2 meetings, so that should cut a lot of this off also as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Calderon Jr.?
10 o'clock?
10 with the provision to extend to 10:30?
Well, the
Mr.
reading says that under extraordinary circumstances, can we go to 10:30?
Okay,
So,
all right, so,
and
There's
I
no-
believe that, yeah, we should only
no,
not stay here too long.
okay. Question for, and I know, Eddie, if we leave at 10:30, what time are you guys done bringing everything back to the district office? Or to a safe place?
Good evening, Board. Eduardo Perez, Technology Coordinator. Yeah, normally our team takes about 2-3 hours to set up all the equipment, put it in and put it back. And because the facility is being used the day after, we have to take everything out and put it back in. And I appreciate the support from the board on taking care of
Yeah.
my team. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate the response. Thank you. So, I guess, yeah, we leave it as is.
And we just ensure that, 10:30, whatever it is, that's pretty much it.
Yes. Okay. Well, it's just a review. If we wanted to change it, then we'll make a motion, but, okay. All right, so stays as is. That was L8. L9, review of board policy 9011/4119.23, board policy 4219.23, 4319.23, confidential information. So,
Yeah, at a prior meeting, the board had asked about if there were bylaws on confidential information for both employees and trustees. So all of them are attached. The 4119, that would apply to regular certificated, 4219 is classified employees, 4319 is management employees. Board bylaw 9011 would apply to members of the board and maintaining information that is legally confidential in confidence.
okay.
So that came up as an inquiry about needing a policy, but these are policies that you already have.
Right.
Okay, so there's a policy that we already have, okay. Board members, are there any comments or concerns?
No.
No? Okay.
Everybody's aware of that then, right, Amy? All right, just want to make sure. I mean,
So what? I can't hear.
I said everybody should be aware of that,
Yes.
so, okay.
And I think we've been talking about that, we've been talking about I think in the last couple of meetings, we mentioned the repercussions for staffs from our school district to, when they disclose information, and the repercussions for board members when they disclose the information from closed session into the general public. So we already discussed that, and how, for us, it will be the DA who will be handling any of us that shares that information in closed session to anybody that shouldn't have right to that information. So, okay. So, any more questions or comments? That was L9. L10, review of board policy 9240, board training.
So similarly, in a prior meeting, the board directed that they wanted to make some revisions to board bylaws about trainings. This is your existing bylaw. It does have some discretionary language, such as all board members may attend conferences for the purpose of board development, et cetera. But if the board wants to give direction about more specific provisions that they would like in here, I think there were references to having annual training requirements, training at retreats, et cetera, that this could be a forum to review that and give direction about additional provisions you'd like to include.
We had talked about retreats in the past, retreats/trainings. How does the board feel about that?
Well, I'm in agreement with that. I'm in agreement also that I think every board member should take it upon themselves to go out and get, a little bit extra, as far as educate on certain things that are coming down, because we do have our attorney, but she's not always going to be here as far as that goes. And that's something I think that's important, something that's vital. And as I stated before, there's a lot of things that CSB offers to the board members. One of those things is a master's in governance. And I believe, I don't know if anybody else here on the board has gone to that or completed that, but I know when I served on my first term, I made sure that I completed that, because you know what, we don't know everything, we don't, and I just want to ensure that we don't get moving forward for micromanaging or anything like that at all as far as that goes. I know there's certain things that we could be discussing as far as that goes when it comes down to it, but that's the reason why I brought it up the last time.
Mr. Romero?
Yeah, whenever you could schedule it.
Yeah, Mr. Calderon Jr.? So we had talked about board retreats and trainings, so maybe you can write something up, Amy, so we can add it to their bylaws, and then to come to another, in front of us in another board meeting.
And Superintendent Gonzalez has reached out about having me contact a consultant about doing some retreats. So I'm working on trying to get proposed dates so that at the organizational meeting that would be upcoming, there would be some dates embedded in that for retreats, aiming for maybe January, February, and July.
Okay, thank you, Amy. That was L10. L11, review board policy 9012, board member communications and board policy and administrative regulation 4040, employee use of technology.
So similarly, this was just brought back to show that the board already has a policy in terms of, the parameters on electronic communication. One area where it could be updated, if the board wants to give direction to come back, is that the law regarding social media has been changed to be more stringent. That could come back to a future meeting if the board so requests.
So can you make that, can you write something up for approval?
Yeah, does a majority of the board
Yes.
Want to go
So, yeah, yes. How do you guys feel about that?
Yes.
What that?
Okay, thank you. That was L11. M, we didn't do M, right? No?
We're in
Okay.
M now.
Okay. M, information items. M1, superintendent's report. Ms. Ramirez?
So on behalf of Superintendent Gonzalez, good evening trustees, admin staff, and our community who are watching us via live stream. So some of our school highlights is this month, our nation observed Veterans Day on November 11. CUSD would like to thank all of our veterans for their service and contributions to our country. Our students participated in several school and community events organized throughout the Imperial Valley. The migrant program is proud to announce that Yara Yarez Araujo was selected as a Migrant Region 6 Honor Student of the Year, and that Ms. Zobeida Velasquez was selected as a Migrant Region 6 Parent of the Year. So this is the second year in a row that Calexico Unified School District student has been chosen as a Migrant Region Honor Student for the Imperial Valley. Both Yara and Mrs. Velasquez will be recognized at the 2021-22 Migrant Parent Regional Conference. So congratulations to them. We would also like to continue to inform our parents regarding the CDC recommendation that all children ages 5 and older get the COVID-19 vaccine. Information has been provided in a constant contact newsletter regarding the option for students, and several clinics have been established in the Imperial Valley to offer this service. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. M2, association comments. I don't know if we got to those. We did? Okay. M3, Measure V update. Front and center.
Good evening, Good evening, Board. This update is going to be a little short because right now we're between projects. On the Varner and Godfrey Gym locker room, there'll be a pre-construction meeting on December 9th. We've asked Mrs. Williams to set up meetings with all of the coaches and the athletic staff so we can go over the project with them and talk to them prior to moving them into their interim housing for that project. So we haven't heard back from her on some dates that will be available. Jewel Elementary will be doing that pre-construction meeting on December 9th. Right now, we're waiting for the contracts to come back with all their bonds and insurance information. Same goes for Caesar, Chavez, Maines, and Rockwood, the Border Link Phase 3. So we'll have the pre-construction on December 9th. On the 16 classroom project, the A4, we want to start demo in June of 22 and get those classrooms out on that parking lot. And if you go by and look at the north parking lot, it's done. They can start parking in there tomorrow. The teachers are very excited about it, even though they know it's only for 6 months. My neighbor's a teacher, and she hugged me and told me she loved me. So that will help tremendously. She said she won't have to leave 30 minutes early to get a parking place in the morning. On the district-wide facility master plan, we sent out comments to all the schools and asked that they return them by November 15th. We have not received them, so we will be making meetings to go out to each school and meet with them to get them to bring back and put that in there. On the high school marquee, Sanders is working with the sign company. Some of the comments that needed to go back to DSA needed to come from the sign company, not from Sanders. So Sanders is working very hard to make sure that that gets installed during Christmas break. Okay, is there any other questions about any projects?
Yeah, I had one quick question. Sorry. You said that you had sent out an email to, did you send out an email to Ms. Williams in regards to getting back to you on,
To set up, give us a couple of dates and times that we could meet with that you had asked us to meet with
correct?
the.
That was sent out when? That way I could go
It
ahead and
was
just.
sent out today around 2 o'clock?
Okay,
yeah.
so today, so that's the reason why I
Yes,
shouldn't, okay.
and so I wanted to wait till after she got back from the break and had time to go through her emails and said to give us a couple of dates and times so that we, Mr. Dominguez and myself and maybe the architect, we could meet and go over any questions all of the athletics
All right.
staff had.
Perfect. That's the only question that I had. Yeah.
Is that it?
Desert. Just one question. A4 construction will begin when?
I'm sorry?
A4.
A4, oh, next June, because we have to wait till school is out and move those teachers into the interim housing that will be where the north parking lot is right now, and then we can start on that. Because there will be relocatables that are sitting in the path of the new classroom building. Right, right. It didn't go to them directly, but the email stated that the board had requested that we meet with them directly, not just the assistant principal.
Well, it doesn't matter how it gets to them. The matters is that we meet with them and make sure that everything's
And make sure that
correct.
they're a part of the project.
Yes, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is that it? Thank you.
Measure Q, was that Measure Q too?
Well, Measure Q would be part of, well, Measure Q, we want to start demolition in October of 2022. All of those projects are at the state for approval right now. That would be the admin, the multipurpose, correct?
When you're doing Measure Q, when you demolish all that area right there, are we still, well, are they still going to be able to use the front, the parking lot in the front of the high school?
In front, yes.
So,
That's
okay.
permanent, that's never going away.
Yeah, no, I'm saying because I thought maybe you would be using it for storage or something like that.
No.
No.
The places for the storage and, what do they call it?
Staging.
Staging would be no named field and the north parking lot.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
N5, Insurance Committee.
Good evening, Board. The most recent news on the Insurance Committee, we had a insurance information session with ACT. We did not get to do that with CSEA yet, but we are scheduling that for December 7th. So coming up, we'll have Julie Revore from Keenan along with Kim Lyons from CISC there to help answer specific questions from members regarding the whole program and all the offerings from CISC. So we're looking forward to that.
To these meetings, sorry, board members, you guys have any, go ahead.
When you say that they're gonna go over everything as far as cost, coverages, all that?
Yeah, there's, when they presented for ACT, the, Ms. Lyons presented some of the really unique attributes of the CISC program regarding specialized surgeries and some of the partnering that they do for secondary diagnoses up at City of Hope and help with travel and some things like that that are very specific to CISC that she's able to share.
Okay, bench. No. Mr. Romero?
Nothing to add.
Is there any way, Dr. Thurman, is there any way that we can have a comparison of what the plan that we all use right now, what the plans looks like, and versus what the new plans might look like? I know for CISC, in Coachella, I know we have 5 different plans. So that might be a little bit difficult, but what I want to make sure is that both associations, I want to make sure that they have a clear understanding of where the difference will be.
Right.
Because we are here saying, no, it's going to be the same, it's going to be the same, but then what about if it comes out that it's not the same, that it's less coverage for this or more coverage for that? So
Right.
I just want to make sure that we are giving the associations all the information, not just highlights, because those I can get online.
Okay.
But
Right.
comparison, on this is what we have, this is what it will be. This is what we have, this, on the major components.
Right.
Okay,
right.
not just on co-pays or ER fees and things like that, but on all the major subjects, because I think that's what they need to know. The more informed they are, the easier it's going to be for them to make a decision. Okay,
Yes,
that's what
yes.
happened when we did this in Coachella 5 or 6 years ago. They
Okay.
gave us, it was like a spreadsheet, like a 12-page spreadsheet of comparing.
Right,
the,
right.
Because in Coachella, we had the same thing. We had a Cadillac plan as well, but we went from the Cadillac plan to CISC.
Okay.
And then CISC is divided in 5 different plans.
Right.
So is there
Now-
any way that we can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. For the last couple of years of negotiations, we've been providing a kind of a spreadsheet that has a lot of information, but it's also very detailed. It's the co-pays for prescriptions, any co-insurance costs, all the comparisons between what we have right now with our current Anthem, what is proposed for Anthem for the upcoming year, any changes there, plus then the different programs that CISC has. But we always start with the highest level one that CISC has created specifically for us that compares very, it's equivalent in a lot of ways, and it's got some better components in there, but each of those are detailed. That being said, that's the same thing that we've given out for a couple of years with the updated numbers and things. So I think, though, I agree with what you're saying, that we want to pull some of those details out and create maybe a separate document that just explains all of those. Some of the information that's been provided through Keenan shows, for example, the percentage increases over the last 5 years for both programs. That was on a different document. So what we're looking at now is trying to bring that information from the spreadsheet type of document that was created and just putting it in a little bit simpler format maybe. That will help show some of those things. And that's one of the benefits of having Ms. Lyons come to the insurance information meeting, is that she's able to answer those questions when someone says, I have a specialist for this type of health issue, and she's able to say, yes, this is 100% of the coverages because it's still the Blue Cross program, and she's able to provide that reassurance, plus some extra information that, isn't in kind of the general information about CISC. So absolutely a good idea that we pull that information out to make it a little clearer and maybe simplify it a little bit. So, but we've tried really hard to show a lot of that, but sometimes, too much is less actually, right? When you get so much information.
And so more is less and less is more.
Yes, right.
So,
Great
thank you,
point.
Dr. Thurman.
Yeah, thank you.
ROP Committee, Mr. Calderon.
Well, good evening again. The dates that are going to be covered today is October 12th through November 12th. Career specialists continue to communicate with our teachers via email to offer their services. IVRP staff has gotten cleared to go into campus at the high school. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Thurman. Career specialists performed My Next Move career assessments to the CHH 518 ninth grade graders on October 22 to 28. Contacted Willie Moreno High School counselors to schedule career assessment workshops, and the dates are pending at this time. Regional CTE advisory meeting, general session was on October 26, 2021 via Zoom. Martin Leiva and Keith Fisher attended this meeting. IVROP facilitated regional CTE advisory public service breakout session on November 3rd, 2021 at Chavel's Farm in Imperial, California from 12:30 to 3 o'clock. And IVROP partnered with IVC to host the Public Service Summit, which provided senior students the opportunity to meet agents and officers from Imperial Valley and have hands-on experience with various simulators. Next steps are to provide my next move workshop to Willie Moreno Junior High School 8th graders in December of 2021. Follow up with 9th grade counselor Ms. Ibarra, who requested California Career Zones interested in profiling activities on March 2022. And virtual resume workshop on November 18, 2021. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon Jr. for the ROP report. LCAP committee, Elisa?
So good evening again. So as we're aware, with the California 2021 Budget Act, we, as a district, are receiving a significant increase in funding to support our student, staff, communities in recovering from COVID-19. And under Section 124 of the Assembly Bill 130, there was additional funds that were added to the LCAP. And under this LCAP, it was primarily to hire additional staff to support our schools. And so you might be aware that we've had positions that are temporarily funded out of ESSER 3 funding. We have some under ESSER 2. We have others under the ELO grant. And some of these were temporary. At the time, we knew that these are some positions that we would like to hold permanent. But prior to that, we were not aware that we would be receiving these additional LCAP funds. So we will be revisiting some of those positions, and more than likely putting some of those in the LCAP so they become permanent, as we have a great need to keep them permanently. So as part of this, what we have to do is, and this is known as the LCAP supplement to the 21-22 LCAP. So as part of the requirement, we have to provide to the board a presentation. And this presentation has to be done prior to February 28, 2022. This is just a presentation at a regularly scheduled meeting. There is no requirement for the board to approve. So the district is not required to revise the LCAP that we approved last year, or the budget overview for parents. We could, but it's not required. But what we are required to do is to provide to our board an update regarding that additional funding. So what positions are we adding or moving from other fundings to make them permanent now? And then we also have to provide for you an update on the how we are so far, which is considered mid-year in February, with our implementation of the LCAP. As you recall, last year we did not have an LCAP, so normally I bring like 2 to 3 updates of the year of what we spent so far and what has been spent. So this December, I'm going to be bringing the first report of where we're at so far in our LCAP, in our December board meeting. But in January, it's going to be a more detailed presentation on how much was the additional funding, what positions are going to be funded into that LCAP, and what actions and services we've completed so far in the regular LCAP plan, and again, how much has been the expenditure. So that's just something new, another plan that we have to write and present to the board. Then this plan is going to be included in our June approval for our new 22-23 LCAP, okay? So you'll see it again. So I do the presentation in January, February, but then you won't see the plan for approval until June, when we bring our final LCAP for 22-23, annual update, et cetera.
To clarify, so the board won't have a say in what positions are going to be added, subtracted, and so forth. We're just going to get the presentation.
We're going to, well, you do have to say, we will provide the presentation, but we are taking recommendations. So we are going to be meeting with what we've known as stakeholders. Now the name has changed. We're not going to call them our partners, our educational partners. So we will have input from, for example, I'm going to be going through our core committee. So our LCAP core committee, that's comprised of parents, students, and who've in the past have participated. I'll be reaching out to our ACT and our CSEA presidents to provide names. And so we will do a presentation for them in January to get some input. We are going to provide to them what some of our recommendations are. And then we're also going to meet with our parent advisory committee, so they will have some input into this.
Board, any more questions? Mr. Romero?
No.
Mr. Alvarado? Mr. Calderon Jr.? Elisa, so you mentioned these are going to be temporary positions because these COVID monies are one-time funds, right?
The ones that we have in the ELO grant, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, those are temporary.
Okay,
But the LCAP is not going to become
Okay.
permanent.
okay,
So for example, let me just give you an example. We have some MTSS coordinators that are being flown, and they're temporary positions because although there's a high need, at that time, we didn't have LCAP funding to support it. Now that way they have these fundings, we might have more interest, more applicants, because now it's a permanent position. Trying to get applicants to temporary positions has been hard because people know that they're just temporary. But we've discussed, for example, also, well, you know, the safety coordinator is under the LCAP. We added 3 additional counselors in the LCAP. But now we're even looking at our temporary counselors. You know how we flew temporary counselors? Well, some of those we're also considering in moving into the LCAP so that schools can keep additional counselors permanently. So we have to go back and look at all the positions that we have with all our temporary funding and then determine which of those we want to move so that it become permanent.
okay. Thank you. Board, any more questions or comments?
No.
Thank you, Ms. Elisa. M6, board reports. These are informational reports by board members. No action is taken. Mr. Romero?
I want to thank everyone for being here. We're currently are in a challenging time period, and I want to thank all of you for the work that you've done. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Mr. Alvarado?
Along the same lines, thank everybody for showing up, everybody that's currently seeing us through YouTube. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Just want to take this time just to recognize, you know, all our veterans that served. That was something that was mentioned earlier. Also want to take the time to congratulate our football team, not only just our football team, but also the coaches for the outstanding job that they did this year. You know, they set the bar high, and hopefully this keeps on growing and makes this, you know, puts the school on the map now. You know, hopefully next year we get to win it and win it all. I also want to take this time to, you know, thank our staff, our teachers, you know, classified, certificated, and also our administrators. I know that we are going through some difficult times right now, but we want nothing but the best for our staff. I know that sometimes we say things that are sometimes taken out of context, but it's not something that we're taking it to misleading anybody. We want to ensure that you guys are going to get the best, and like I said it before, and I'll keep on saying it, Calexico High School is going to be the pinnacle of the educational system. With that said, we are going to bring and attract better teachers. Not that saying that we don't have them. We do have excellent teachers here, but we are going to bring in some talent also as well from outside also as well. With that said, I hopefully soon we get to settle with ACT, move on to CSCA, and then take care of our staff from that point on. Other than that, thank you very much for being here with us tonight, and we'll continue on.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarado. Mr. Calderon Jr.?
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and again, thank you for joining us tonight. I'll be brief. I just want to send my sincere condolences to the family that lost their daughter this past week. All I can say is que Dios los bendiga, and hopefully we can get through this. Again, congratulations to our athletes. I mean, we just had a football team that almost went all the way. We have basketball, we have wrestlers, we got a lot of talent coming up, and just join us. I'm sure that Calexico will be placed on the map very soon, like Mr. Alvarado was saying, and we'll go back to the respect that everybody had for the Bulldogs. And again, congratulations to all the veterans and for their service. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calderon Jr. And thank you, everybody, for being in our board meeting tonight. and the continuation of this board meeting. As previously said, it's not easy when we lose a member of our family, and everybody in Calexico is member of the Calexico Unified family. So our condolences to those that are grieving the loss of one of our members in Calexico Unified. Thank you. Congratulations to all veterans on their day, November 11th. Thank you, Mr. Alvarado, for your service. Thank you for everybody for being here tonight. Like I said, this is one of the continuation of our meeting that started on November 18. We have tough times ahead. It's not easy to go through what we are going through right now, but like somebody else had mentioned before, it's not because we don't want to. It's because sometimes bumps like these happen. Okay, I've been doing a lot. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been doing a lot of research on my own, and I will push for this audit. I will push to find out what is it that we are spending our money. I am not claiming anything else, just so you know. I just want to know where our money is being spent. Again, there's the other district up north in the county. It's their compensation, the total compensation is almost $20,000 more than ours at step 28. We get the same amount of money. We spend the same amount of money on everything else. So why is it that they can afford to have such a high salaries and benefits package and we can't? Okay, so we need to make sure that we do this. We need to make sure that we find out where we're spending our monies. Okay, we need to make sure that that this district stays solvent for the next 10, 20 years, and the only way that we're gonna be able to do that is by, I believe, by bringing somebody that will tell us what is it that we're doing. I'm not saying that we're doing anything wrong, but we're doing something. They're doing something that we're not doing. Bottom line. So, I'm not going to give up on this. I want to know where we're spending our monies, and because everybody in this district deserves to have a clear idea of what is it that our budget is and what is it that our budget is being spent on. So, with that said, I hope that we can get through these holidays without another glitch. And I know we just came back from our Thanksgiving break, and we in 3 more weeks we go into a winter break. So I hope everybody has a wonderful next couple of weeks. We still have a board meeting in December, and we'll see you then. Thank you. That was, huh? Okay. That was M. Item N, action items. Consideration and action approval of the following items. We already did in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Item 10. They're still there.
Yeah.
You got them all over. All over. Item 10, agreement between Calexico Unified School District and Parent Hall to purchase and install classroom furniture at each school site. Teresa? Oh, who is it?
I think this is the one that I tabled,
Yeah,
correct?
it was
Oh,
tabled. It was
okay,
And
tabled.
So we tabled that
I did
for this
receive
meeting.
the RFP and stuff like that. I still want to see if I could table it for our next meeting for December. That we could just go over the RFP and stuff like that, because I just want to ensure that, everything's on, stuff like that. I'm not saying that, I just want to see if that's something that you guys want to do. If not, we could take a vote right now.
So
I'm okay
are you
with it.
making the motion to table to the next board meeting?
For December, correct.
So there's a motion to table the N10 to the next board meeting. Is there a second?
I have a question. Is this a company we approved in,
Yeah, correct. I just want to go,
in September?
because I'm a little bit confused with the RFP. I thought the RFP was just for the new furniture for the new buildings. I thought that that's how it was being sold to us, but I just want to review everything on the RFP just to ensure that everything that we were informed about is correct.
And we didn't, and sorry to interrupt, and we didn't approve this company, Mr. Romero. This was the company that was selected. We didn't approve the company. It was the company that was selected.
On the
I
RFP
believe
that
the
we
action
approved,
was-
correct,
So,
in September?
All this information was uploaded back in September,
Correct.
right? All the RFPs and the summary, it's not a matrix scoring because it's just so many different furniture and brands that they're providing, but it's a summary of the RFP. The RFPs are like a 60-page document for each one, so we just short enough to put it in 2 pages. And if you can see, I mean, you can only see the summarizing different types of this, but it's not the same. It's not the same material. Now, the only thing that I want to emphasize that in the summary, the Omnia dealers that are part of the consortium, it's only the brand. So it's Han and Steelcase. And they were only provided by BKM and Parent Hall. However, Steelcase, only 10% of the RFP, only 10% of it is actually a Steelcase product that they're part of Omnia. So the majority of the items that BKM provided, they're not part of Omnia. So that's the only thing that we need to consider as well.
So there's a motion to table. Is there a second? I will second this motion. All those in favor of tabling this item to the next board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, say no.
No.
So motion doesn't pass. Is there another motion?
This one's already been approved. The RFP was already approved in September. So the issue is moot.
Obviously it's not, because nobody's making the
Obviously, because
motion.
you guys keep going back after it.
So there's no motion, so, Amy, so there's no motion,
Sounds like you guys moved and voted to table this until the next meeting, but it might be unclear if there's direction to staff to bring back the full RFPs, or is it that, I guess
I
what's
got
the-
some of the RFPs that you had sent over that was requested.
And it was 2-2.
So that was sent off a couple days ago, correct? It was sent yesterday around 5 o'clock?
Yes, yesterday. Yes,
Okay.
I
Sorry,
resent it yesterday.
I was just corrected that the vote was 2-2. I didn't
Yeah,
catch
The
that.
vote was to two, so it went nowhere.
It died.
So if there's not another motion, then there's not another motion, so this item M10 becomes, so I guess we can put it for the next board meeting if you bring up the complete RFP. I don't know.
The
if
thing
that's-
died already. It's not being moved. It died.
Well, it died, and I can bring
Yeah.
it back on the next board meeting.
Again? Therefore, you're
Well, then
overriding the
okay,
motion.
then I'm not gonna bring it back,
Don't bring it back.
okay?
RFP was issued September.
Okay, all right. If another board member asks me to bring it back, I will bring it back. So there's a N10, it dies. Well, nothing happens because the motion to table was tied, and there's not another motion, so no N10,
So what does Amy suggest?
no N10, right?
Yeah, the RFP was awarded to Parent Hall
Yes.
to move forward. There was a lot of work that was already done, all the need assessments with all the help of the principals. They are in great need of the furniture. This is the best quality, best price, and best warranty furniture that we're getting. And for example, you mentioned that BKM has some type of rebates or like a 200, but see, the majority, 90% of the BKM furniture is not even part of Omnia. There are offering is mid-system furniture, and there are only limited time furniture. So those are just things to consider. Again, we presented all the information back in September, and you guys move forward with the RFP to Parent Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. So, there's no motion for intent, so Amy, that's right there, right?
It appears that this is for an agreement
Yeah.
to make purchases from Parent Hall, and there was no majority vote with regard to the agreement.
So.
It was approved in September already.
And I'm not sure, I suppose Ms. Paez could speak to whether if in September there was any specific purchases or,
I wasn't understanding it was for the new buildings, but I guess I could be wrong. That's why I'm reviewing. Like I said, I asked for the RFP, and, well, it was asked by Mr. Calderon, but she sent it over to me also as well, so that's why I'm reviewing that. But it's dead, so it's over and done with.
So I'm really concerned that there's a great need for furniture, and we need to determine or be given direction as to what is it that we have to do to ensure that our students get furniture. And so that is, as a representative of our students in this district, we need some direction.
Since the RFP was approved, isn't that the direction that we're going to use them for the purchase of the furniture?
Let me tell you something, Mr. Romero. A couple of months ago, maybe a year back, the principal submitted a request to buy furniture, and it was denied. Okay, I cannot go into any more details because we might have to talk about it in closed session. So I'm comfortable. I am comfortable with this dying right here. Yes.
The RFP's already been approved.
Well, is it approved or was it,
do you know what
Amy, or was it selected?
Ms. Paez, did the proposal include that there would be a specific purchase?
That we
Well,
were,
but was there
that we
specific
were
purchases?
supposed to buy from them? Or was it said that was a company that we could buy from? That,
I guess, I haven't looked at the documents, so it's hard to speak to it in a vacuum. So they submit a proposal that said the district would be buying a certain amount of furniture at a certain price, and then the district accepted that already on September 9th? Or was it the company was selected for a future agreement?
For what type of person? So was this company selected for classroom furniture only?
So we issue for the request of the board, we issue an RFP on April 14, 2021. So in September 9, the board selected furniture to be provided by Parent Hall based on the RFP.
For classroom,
For
student
district-wide
classroom
classroom furniture. District-wide classroom furniture.
Yeah. So for staff furniture, for bookshelves, any other company can be used. This is just for student classroom desk district-wide.
Well, I guess my question is really, what is the purpose of the agreement then, if the district already ordered specific furniture?
Oh, we still have to have a purchase agreement. So after the RFP was awarded in September to Parent Hall, now we needed to start with a collaboration of other sites and the principals, what was gonna be the order. How many exactly chairs did we needed? How many exactly desks did we needed? So once we gather all the spreadsheets, then we submitted it to Parent Hall, and then they come out with the quote. So we still have to have a purchase agreement. So there's two processes to this. It's selecting the RFP and then to have a purchase agreement.
Yeah, I suppose that's where it gets a little more messy, because it sounds like the actual order had not been.
The first part, it was just an RFP, so we got proposals from vendors. This part is now we're actually purchasing it from Parent Hall, so we need to have an agreement.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Paz.
Mhm.
All right. There's no movement or intent, we're gonna continue. N32. Approval of the 2-year extension of the digital licenses for the Cases Mathematics Go Math curriculum between Calexico Unified School District and Hampton Mifflin Hardcore Publishing. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? There's a motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Romero. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. N34, first reading and waive second reading of revised board policy 6171, Title I programs. Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. N35, resolution of the Board of Trustees adopting a written authorization to order with AT&T Corporation for the procurement of certain telecommunications equipment and services at district sites. So this is a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion by Mr. Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Calderon Jr. This is a resolution. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion, resolution passes 4-0. N37, resolution authorizing contract pursuant to Public Contract Code, Section 20118, piggyback state statute for purchasing Apple technology.
So moved. Second.
Says a motion by Mr. Calderon Jr., second by Mr. Alvarado. It's a resolution. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Resolution passes 4-0. N38, resolution designating November 2021 as Runaway and Homeless Youth Prevention Month. A move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Calderon Jr. This is a resolution. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Resolution passes 4-0. N39, we did. Oh, no. No? Resolution of the Board of Trustees regarding COVID-19 related student grade change request for the 2021 school year submitted after October 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
I second, but what's,
Alvarado,
what is it?
second by Mr. Calderon Jr.
I have a question. What is?
So as a result of our students going through COVID and distance learning, there was an assembly bill that, AB 140, that said that students who participated in the 2021 school year, 9th through 12th grade, parents could request a grade change within 15 days of us posting it on our website. Then they later got extended to October 1st. And then a new Assembly Bill 167 just stated that that can now be extended until the end of the year. But it's grade changes only for students who were in 9th through 12th in the 2021 school year.
Thank you.
Elisa, and that's going to be changed over just to pass, correct?
Excuse me?
It's just for a pass, correct?
Yes, this is when they can convert grades like D, A through D, pass, and if it's an F, to no pass, so that there's no impact to their GPA.
So there's a motion and a second. If no more questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
What's a resolution?
Oh, it's a resolution, I'm sorry. A roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Resolution passes 4-0. M40, resolution regarding disposition of surplus assets, non-asset technology, equipment assets such as elementary.
So, second.
Motion by Mr. Calderon Jr., second by Mr. Alvarado. This is a resolution. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Motion passes 4-0. N41, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset, non-asset classroom furniture and Mains Elementary.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Calderon
Second.
Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alvarado. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Motion, resolution passes 4-0. N42, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset, non-asset technology, equipment, assets such as elementary.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alvarado. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon, Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Motion passes 4-0. M43, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset, non-asset cafeteria equipment at Willie Moreno Food Services.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Calderon Jr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alvarado. Roll call. Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, Yes, motion passes 4-0. N44, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset and non-asset technology equipment at Mains Elementary.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Alvarado, second by Mr. Calderon Jr. This is a resolution, roll call. Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado?
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.?
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Motion, resolution passes 4-0. N45, resolution regarding disposition of surplus asset and non-asset sewing equipment at Calexico High School.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Alvarado, second by Mr. Calderon Jr. Roll call. Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado?
Yes.
Mr. Calderon Jr.?
Yes.
Myself, Mr. Calderon, yes. Resolution passes 4-0. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, reconvene to earlier closed session, see above item D. So at this point, we will be going into closed session. We'll let the public know when we come back. Thank you.